Hi, my name is Lana. If you don't know, I've got another vlog here for you today. A little bit of information about me. I feel like that wasn't. Anyways, on with the show. If you don't know who I am, what I'm up to, I am a second year costume student at UAL. I'm doing a BA in costume for theatre and screen, focusing on interpretation, which is just the handcraft of it all. Today I'm doing the vlog, a bit of a format I haven't tried before. I'm gonna try to do some voiceover. However, I do know people on YouTube's are quite picky about audio, so apologies in advance if it is not up to snuff. I'm doing my best with the equipment that I have. I'll not be buying anything in the near future for that. And anyway, a little bit about the week. I know I'm going to talk about it during the video that I have yet to film, so I don't know yet what the voiceover is going to entail. But I hope you enjoy. This is just kind of a collection of the last week and a half or so. I'm trying to get out some videos that have more actual content in them because I know that people actually really want to learn things from YouTube a lot of the time. If you're just kind of looking for hangout content and random chaos, I think at least I tend to go to short form content like Instagram and TikTok a bit more. But by the way, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But anyways, as it stands, let's just get into the week and I'll just talk more there and shut up here. So if you didn't know, the UAL Wimbledon campus is in a residential area, which makes it really nice to walk to in the mornings. You don't have to go through the big city and anything, like a lot of the other campuses, like LCF, just like smack dab in the middle of Oxford Circus, which if you've ever been there, whew, I would not recommend. But anyway, so here you're seeing me start off the week with some prep for Mothra because if you don't know, our Unit 6 is a Godzilla project for my group, and so we're making 2 Godzilla costumes and a Mothra suit. And I'm on the Mothra group, and so what we're doing is creating a kaiju suit for Mothra, which is a little different than the other processes for the Godzilla costumes because Mothra herself actually is not a suit. She's a puppet, like a 2-meter long puppet or something. So instead we're making it into a suit. So that has been its own unique challenge, and I am particularly focused within the process on the wings. So you can see me here just doing the paper patterning for all that, trying to figure out the right size and how we're going to do a top wing and a bottom wing just with one hinge joint, as you can see there. And after patterning that out, I had a quick meet up with the rest of the group in the tech arts space, and they just have a couple of these bits of student work lying around, and I thought I'd show you this one because I really love it, especially how the feathers for the dodo bird are made. I'm really not certain what it is. I thought it was grains of rice at first, but they're all hollow. Following that meeting, we were ready to make the metal frames for the wings that I had patterned in the morning. So this is the 3D Lab metal workspace. If you're going in there to work, you do have to put on steel-toed boots as well as eye protection. Very fashionable. And then while we were in the studio, we got to check in with the Tech Arts members of the Mothra group. They're in charge of making the heads. You can just see how they're using metal to make the frame for that. Same way as I'm using the metal to make the wings, but probably a bit more skillfully considering they are Tech Arts. I think they know a little bit better about how to do this than I do. And this was just an absolute nightmare because it was the first time I'd been working with this. By like day 3 or 4, I was solid in my abilities. Here, I had not yet figured out what the wire cutter on the wall looked like. So after that pretty productive day on campus, I got to have a nice relaxing day in where I was just working on some visual research and brainstorming for my competition project, which I talked a little bit about, but I'm not certain how much I want to share here yet, so I'll just say it's based in the artistic movement and Impressionism and Victorian tea gowns and Liberty London smocks dresses. And I was just kind of going through all of the pictures that I had previously taken from books in the library as well as art books of my own. I collected art books for a while back in first year because I didn't have a printer, so it was really the cheapest way to get all these big color images. This is a magazine that I also picked up that had beautiful pictures in it. Unfortunately, it is from 1911, so I was not able to convince myself to rip any of these images out, but oh my goodness, I love this magazine so much. And after I'd collected all of my images, I was able to start compiling them into what's essentially going to be kind of my project Bible. So these first dozen pages or so, just going to be a collage of all the images, and then I'll end up writing a bunch of notes on them about what drew me to those images and what design aspects of some of the costumes that I took pictures of are going to be vital to my design process itself. And while that project may have looked cozy and simple, it ended up taking literally all day. So here we are on the next day where I was working on my cat suit, because this is one of the tech skill projects that we're doing alongside our big Mothra group project. So this cat suit, what it says on the tin, these are what you think of when you think of dancers and circus performers. It's made 100% out of Lycra stretch fabric, so that makes a very specialized thing to know how to make and sew and alter. Had ourselves a brief intermission, courtesy of the fire alarm. We never get told why it goes off, Rounded off the evening with garden club, made some bird feeders with oranges, macrame, and birdseed. That was just such fun to just talk to some people at the end of the day. And then I ended up taking a bunch of oranges home because they had extra, and I was just thinking about that poem the whole time, about sharing the oranges. And this is the other tech skill we're working on right now. We're making a bertha bodice and collar. So this is just a mid-Victorian pretty standard bodice style. And then we're doing a bertha collar on top to kind of make it more of an evening wear look, a la Little Women, if you can't quite pinpoint the era. And this is my fabric. It's a two-tone taffeta, so you just got lemon yellow running on one side and then kind of this turquoise running on the other. So then when you shift it around, it makes like two different really pretty colors. And these are the pattern pieces if you want to just kind of visualize a bit more what all I'll be working on. And as this was Friday, got to have a lovely time at D&D after uni. This is our official mascot. It's the neighbor's cat. So we actually don't know his name because he doesn't have a collar or anything. He just comes up to ours whenever the kids downstairs are being too loud. And he plays either second DM or just a permanent wild-shaped party member. And he chose me today, which was just absolutely glorious. I do love a good cat petting. I never really had cats growing up, but I would die for this one. And of course, I wouldn't be an art student if I didn't have a minimum of 5,000 projects going on at once, so this is just some English paper piecing that I'm working on at the moment. I'm quite proud of how it's turning out so far. And here we had a wee Sunday side quest. Me and my friend went to this hot chocolate place that's gone a bit viral on the interwebs for their ridiculously thick hot chocolate. I am telling you, it is literally, you cannot drink it. You cannot. It is impossible. You must eat it with a spoon. This is American street fair level. Oh, and we are going to get into this. This is me absolutely pissed in the laundry room of my student accommodation because Circuit Laundry, that's right, I'm calling you out by name, Circuit Laundry raised their prices and now it costs a minimum of £5.40 to wash and dry a load. Minimum. But I could go on about that for literally ever, so we need to move on. This is the dye and spray dye that we were doing on our Lycra cat suit. A different one than the one we're using for tech skills, because this one's actually going to get used for Mothra, just so we can green screen out the actor's legs, because it's going to be the body that is the actual costume, and his legs are not going to be a part of it, so we're just going to green screen them out in filming, especially so we can kind of lean forward and essentially still be horizontal somewhat, if you understand what I'm saying, because obviously the human is going to be vertical, but the Mothra, that's why she was a puppet in the first place, so that she can kind of be a bit more horizontal. And so green screening the legs out, you can kind of just like bend his legs and lean forward. And here you can see I'm back at it again in the metal space of the 3D lab, and I am doing some spot welding with copper wire, and this is just to reinforce the wings, because what we're going to be doing is we have the frame, right, but we need to make sure that it's really strong and sturdy, because we're going to cover the wings in a fur, and then we're gonna like spray dye the fur to have the mothra's wing pattern. And so of course the fur is going to be quite a bit heavy, so we're going to have to make sure that the wing is quite sturdy and able to withstand the weight itself. Then I had myself another foray into the garden club, this time during lunch, so we had some beautiful daylight for planting the scarlet. And here we're back to the Bertha collar. So I spent all week working on this, trying to design the perfect collar to go with the bodice, and I didn't want to cut the bodice panels out of the top fabric until I had fully realized what I was gonna design for the collar itself, because I wanted to make sure that like if I needed contrast piping, or if I even wanted to do like some panels in different colors, that I would be able to do that, because I didn't quite have enough of the main top fabric to just go ham, cut everything out of that, and then also do whatever I wanted for the collar. So if I needed a lot of the green for the collar, maybe I needed to think about doing different piping for the bodice itself, just being savvy with the fabric. And so I brought out every single trim in my collection and started playing around. And if you remember, I was talking about before covering the wings in fur. Well, the fur finally came in the mail. We were a little worried it was gonna come late, so we're so happy to have it on time, and that's just what we're gonna be using to wrap the wings. Oh, and this is Prickles, who I recently found and am now using as a pincushion. And anyways, back to the Bertha collar. So lots of experimentation with every single trim and fabric that inspired me. And I was inspired by that stripe fabric to create some bunting and see if I can maybe have kind of like a clown core jester aesthetic Bertha collar, and was kind of going a little ham on that. And this is me spending way too long for just like a random wild notion on making all these little bunting pieces. And so I made all these cones, and then once you flatten them down, and then I just tacked them to a just cotton twill tape. And then I found yet another random thing, because this whole design process is literally just finding random things and thinking, ooh, that would be cool, ooh, that would be cool. And so I found this in the scrap bin. It wasn't part of anything that I had brought to school. I literally just found it at school that day, and I ended up throwing it onto the mannequin, and I really liked how it went with the green. I thought it was just very striking, and it looked absolutely hilarious. And I really tried to make the blue bunting work on top of the purple, but I ended up having to scrap it because I just really loved the purple so much, and I was using it with different laces, and also I asked a tutor for a second opinion, and they were just not feeling the bunting, so maybe for another project. And speaking of other projects, I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you our end of year projects, and these are just costumes based on some Indian folk tales. Before, of course, the mandatory walk home in the dark because it is winter in the UK. And folks, we are back in the building because I still hadn't quite figured out exactly how I wanted to do the Bertha collar. So this time I scrapped all the other stuff and I went back in and tried again after getting consultation from one of the tutors. So this is just the process of figuring out the exact kind of size and shape that I'd like for the base of the Bertha collar before I went back in with all the trims and the colors, trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to decorate that base. And of course I had to go back in with the purple. This time I really liked the idea of pin tucks, and then my tutor told me that it would go really well if I did it on the bias, because that would just wrap around the body quite well. However, I'm not actually going to end up sticking with that, just because I wasn't a huge fan of how the stripes looked on the bias. It was giving like school tie aesthetic, if you understand. Not even aesthetic, it was giving school ties. So that didn't happen at the end of the day. But while I was playing around with that, I made up a couple different types of ribbon, one out of the actual purple, and then another one that I'm making here, which was folding over the green ribbon and then doing that zigzag pattern, which you see this on a lot of like 18th century clothing. And this is just another fun way to make a trim that is very cost effective, because it would be expensive for me to buy everything that I thought was pretty as an art student, no matter how much I'd like to do it. And so we can just make it ourselves. And this is what I'm talking about. I really preferred having the stripes going horizontally versus on the bias. And I was feeling like, even more so than just having it flat, really having it puff out in addition to being pleated was giving that volume that I really liked from the first iteration way back when. And so you can see I not only pleated it, but I actually gathered up some of the edges, and then once I put that with the green ribbon on top of it, I was pretty much set, and this is what we're going to be going for. So thankfully, after a whole week of trying to figure things out, we end on a high note, having the whole plan and probably enough fabric to do it. And if you made it this far into the video, I want to thank you so much for watching. I have yet to do a vlog in this style where I just voice over everything. In my other vlogs, I kind of just had little text blurbs explaining what was going on, but I really do like being able to more fully explain everything like this. So if you are interested in more content from me, I also post on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm trying to be more consistent with YouTube. So again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.